Hello, welcome to my framework video on time management. This is part of a series of systems. So I've done my money management system, my meal planning system, I just did task management, and now I'm getting into time management. So they're definitely interrelated, but the way that I'm thinking about task management versus time management is time management can encompass a lot more bigger things. It can get it kind of existential, like how do I want to spend my life? How do I want to make the fullest use of my life? Whereas in the task management video, it's a lot more just handling chores. So if you did not know, and it will be talked about a bit, it'll be talked about quite a bit in this video, I do sell the potential planner and the potential journal. These are a yin yang pair. This is all about, the journal is all about visualization and mindset. I've heard people say that like doing it every day has brought them to tears. And then this is just about the nitty gritty, getting the important things done. It's like a goal management system. There's a mountain metaphor running through here. People have used this for the most creative things I could never have imagined. Someone's planning their trip to Antarctica. They're going all over, all over the world. One of the places is Antarctica, which I think is so cool. Someone is planning a cross-country biking trip across the US. And that to me is just so fun. That is the heart of time management, is spending your time in the fullest way possible. So the first kind of framework, and it is in this journal. There's a whole introductory section with philosophy and stuff at the beginning of this planner. But part of my big philosophy is you want to maximize, that's why I got these arrows out and they're expanding. You want to maximize the fullness of your life, to have a rich life, to feel like you have purpose, to feel like you're surrounded by amazing people, to feel like you're doing fun things, that when you look back at the end of the year, you're like, I lived, I really did that. And the second part of that then, to make room for that, is to minimize everything else. So we want to maximize the things that bring fullness into our life, and we want to minimize everything else. And so that has been the heart of this series. When I talk about a money management system, if you are not passionate about budgeting and nitty-gritty stuff, we're making that as small as possible. If you are not passionate about cooking, we're making that as small as possible. If you're not passionate about task management, we're making it as small as possible, so that we can expand on the things that you are passionate about and do really matter. So the key to making this all happen is top-down alignment. So when we think about this life that we want to live, this dream life that we want to live, our year should be in alignment with that. And then our month should be in alignment with what we wanted that year. And our weeks should be in alignment with what we wanted that month. And our days should be in alignment with what we wanted that week. So I have this concept called the time funnel, which is talked about in the beginning of this planner. If you've already heard me talk about the time funnel, I'm adding a little bit nuance here that you might not have heard before. So we have this time funnel, and let's say up here you've got this life that you want to live. We have some layers of time. We've got the year. You could include the quarter if you wanted. I'm not going to in this instance. Then the next lowest layer of time is the month. Under that is the week. Under that is the day. You could include the hours if you want. You could include quarters if you want. This is a time funnel. When it comes to time management, I really see it as you are living your life to the fullest. And so the best way to do that is to see yourself as kind of like the architect or the creator of your life, to give yourself some agency, to be like an artist who's the paintbrush, who is painting their life. Now, when I talked in the task management video, that whole task management flowchart started when something's brought to your attention. You know, the garbage smells, that triggers you, you gotta take it out. Your spouse tells you to do, that something needs to happen, so you do it. Your boss tells you, you know, there's all these triggers of things that could happen. With the most important things in life, like taking a biking trip across the US, going to Antarctica, traveling the world, writing the book, all these very big important things, no one is going to tell you to do them. There is no external trigger that is going to tell you to do it. In some rare cases there is, but it's up to you to create that, to be the architect of your life. And I have found no better way. The number one thing that has absolutely changed my life, whenever people ask for one tip, it's very simple, and it's just a planning routine that starts at weekly planning. If you don't have any sort of planning routine, start there, start at weekly planning. But when you get this top-down alignment, it will absolutely change your life. And it's not about planning in tasks. It's not about sitting down, okay, I gotta write down my appointments and I gotta write down my stuff. My philosophy is you minimize all this other stuff. So when I sit down to plan, I'm not spending all this time thinking about stuff I don't care about. I'm thinking about what are the things that no one's gonna tell me to do. I'm sitting down and I'm having like kind of like a CEO session of my life. I'm having a vision casting session every week. What are the things that I wanna do that no one's gonna tell me to do? No one's gonna decide them for me. The things that I think are important and wanna get done. So let's say, as I'm filming this, it's the beginning of August. So let's say you sit down, it's the start of August, and you say, Okay, summer's almost over. When I get to the end of this month, I want to be able to say I really lived this month. I danced, I went outside, I did, whatever the things are that you really want to do to really make the most of the end of summer if you're in the Northern Hemisphere. So it's a very, very simple 3-step planning routine. You can use this for weekly planning, which is where I recommend you start if you have no planning routine. Eventually you can get to monthly planning, you can get to yearly planning. Most people that I know have some sort of vague intentions at the new year. Even if they're not super planning people, like they have some sort of idea, like at the start of the year, maybe they wrote a couple things down. So let's say I was sitting down to monthly plan. I'm gonna choose monthly planning because it's kind of in the middle of this funnel, so it will better illustrate these things. The first step of any planning routine is you start at the level you're on and you go backwards. So in this example, we're monthly planning for August. So at the beginning, if I were to sit down and say, how do I want August to look? The number one thing I would do first is I would go backward at the previous month. So I would go back, what did I like about July? How did I live fullness in July? What was kind of sucking the fun out of July? What changes did I notice in myself lately in July? Now, this potential journal has a lot of really great questions. It's got daily questions and then different questions for the weeks. But some of these questions are so good to just expound on a broader level. Like maybe the question was made for the day, but just expand and answer it on a monthly level. So you go back and reflect. Where have you been living your life to the fullest and where have you not in July? The next step, so that we have top-down alignment, is we go one level up to the yearly level. So in the case of like, if you got the potential planner, there's all sorts of things at the beginning of this that we said we wanted to do at the start of the year. Maybe you had a list of goals, things that you wanted to do. So if I was planning August, I would go back up to the yearly level and say, what did I say I wanted to do this year? You know what? I said I wanted to learn this many dances. I said I wanted to travel to this many places. I wanted to take a vacation. Is any of that relevant this August? So you go up a level to the yearly level and you say, as it pertains to planning August, what do I want to do of those goals? What do I want to actually do? And then the third and the final step of the planning is going down a level and getting specific. So if at the yearly level you said you wanted to take more weekend trips and you said, you know what, this August, I want to take a weekend trip. This is where you get more specific and you pick which week or weekend, where do you want to do it? You don't have to pick the specific day. You don't have to get that specific. But do you know which week you want to do it? You can kind of look, oh, I'm hanging out with so-and-so the first weekend, so I can't do that. And then you can realize, okay, maybe the third weekend is when I want to do it. So you can just get down to the weekly level. What weeks do you want to do these things? And then you put them on the calendar. And I detailed in the previous video my task management system, but I see the monthly spread as kind of this brain dump location. Things here are metaphorically written in pencil. You can erase them, you can scratch them off. It's messy. The point is just to get it out of your head. So if there's a weekend trip, you gotta pick. Where do you want to do it? So I want to demonstrate one more time with an example just on the weekly level, just so you can see, because weekly planning is really where I recommend people start. I think eventually if you can keep daily commitments to yourself, then you can work up to weekly commitments. And if you can keep weekly commitments to yourself, then you can move up to monthly and then you can move up to yearly. A lot of people want to start with yearly commitments because they sound fun. It's, oh, look at all that, I have all this time, look at all this stuff that I could do. But sometimes the bigger stretch of time, the more difficult it is to keep commitments to ourselves. So I would start small. So I would have everyone start with weekly planning. So if you're weekly planning, you start with the level that you're on. So if you're weekly planning, that means the first step would be looking at the week and going backward. What did I like about last week? How did I live the fullness of my life last week? Was I too busy? Was I not busy enough? What did I think? How was my week aligning with my values? What are my values? What did we think? Then I would go up. You go up a level to monthly level. So if I was weekly planning, I would go back to the August spread and I would say, okay, what did I say when I was August planning? What did I say I wanted to do? And is any of that relevant to me this week? That's where you could come up with, oh, I said I want to take that weekend trip. And then you're kind of planning ahead. Is there, oh, I'm hanging out with so-and-so. Of the things that are on the monthly spread, what's still relevant and what do I still want to do this week? And I have a space on here for like the monthly bucket list. So, at the start of the month, you make a bucket list. And as you're weekly planning, then you look at the bucket list that you had for August. Of that bucket list, what do I want to do this week? Or maybe you said, like in my case, a goal for myself is I want to do more dancing and I have all these dances that I want to learn. And so maybe at the start of the month, I said, I want to learn 5 dances this month. And I might look at that and say, oh, I'm behind schedule. Maybe I need to do more dancing. So after you've gone and looked at what you wanted to do for August, then you can go a level down and you can get more specific and say, what day do I want to do each of these things? So if I said I wanted to learn 5 dances, then I might say, okay, well, I'll learn one each day. I'll do Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Or if I only needed to learn 3 dances, maybe I'd pick one Monday, Wednesday, Friday. So you need to review where you've been. That's so important. We don't want to repeat the same cycles over and over again. We have to review our progress. And the main question that I'm really proud of in this potential journal is, what are you proud of? What are 3 things you're proud of yourself for? And so that is part of, to me, that's part of the review process. What are you proud of yourself for? And do more of that type of thing. Then you need to go up, because that's how you get top-down alignment. If you want your days to be reflective of your life vision, your days need to line up with your weeks, with your months, with your years, with your quarters if you want, you know, and it needs to all have top-down alignment. But then if we didn't go a level down and get more specific, like, okay, actually, what day do I want to do this? If I do not schedule it on the calendar, I have this philosophy that time is reality. So if you do not attach the things you want to do to time, if you never link those 2 things, it's very unlikely that those things will ever appear in reality. So we need all 3. All 3 are so crucial, but it's just a 3-step planning process. You can use this yearly planning, you know, if you have, you know, because you can go above this, you can go 5-year plans, you know, some people do 10-year plans, or you can just do life up here. But at every step of the process, this completely works. And it goes back to what I said at the beginning. People will trigger less important things, typically. Oh, the garbage needs taken out. Oh, the oil needs changed. People will remind you these different things. Your boss is telling you, da-da-da. But no one's going to tell you to go take the trip. No one's going to tell you to take the dance class you want. No one's going to tell you to start taking the paint class that you want to take. And so you need to be your own trigger. You need to have a routine where you sit down every week and you say, I'm going to plan out my life. I'm going to be the architect of my life. I'm going to put things on the calendar that make my life more full, that no one else is going to decide for me. I have to take the responsibility of making my life very full and very rich and full of people that I love and experiences that I love and places that I love. And when you sit down and you have a planning routine, you become that trigger. And you then put those things on the calendar so that every time when you look at the calendar, that's the trigger. Oh, hey, I have a reminder. I wanted to write a chapter today. I want to be an author and I wanted to write a chapter today, so I'm going to do that. Oh, hey, I want to take this biking trip across the US. And to do that, I need to learn how to change a tire if something were to happen. So I'm going to sit down, I'm going to watch the YouTube video, learn how to do that. I'm going to start planning shorter weekend trips so that I can build up to it. That's what time management's all about. That's how you build a life. That's how you build a life that you love. Just very simply, is you make sure you have top-down alignment. You get specific about when it's going to get done, and that maximizes the fullness of life. So if you're interested in any of the other videos that I'm posting in the system series, a lot of them are about minimizing everything else. So I've got the meal planning series, the money management series, the task management one just came out, so that one's great to look at. I also do have coaching sessions in the description, so you can click on those. Potential planner, potential journal, of course. So yeah, check out any of those resources. Check out this next video if you're interested. I'll see you in the next one. Bye.